I trusted you all with democracy, and this is what happened. Hello! Today, I'm going to talk about my favorite decks of early Vantage Point, featuring the cards I was wrong about. You could just have both, alright? Fine. Fine. We'll do districts another time. In the meantime, I will give the people what they want. No filler. No waiting. We're starting with HB. It's Cats Flood the Ocean. HB is having a moment right now, alright? Between Leah's Trains Rights deck, Wenjong's Reg PD, that is absolutely amazing. Leo in general. I had a kill Thule, and then Safer showed me a better way because he proceeded to wallop me with it and then with his own. I nearly took that to districts and didn't. There are a million purple things you could be playing that are absolutely phenomenal, but Cats is my favorite, and it's not particularly close. I adore this list. My favorite kind of wrong to be is... no, that cards are actually sick, and here's why. And I couldn't ask for a better example in the game of Netrunner than a deck with 9 harmonics in it, and note that there is still no reverb. It's extremely funny that despite all of that, every harmonic, we just don't need reverb, though. Reverb is buns. That is absolutely true, but harmonics are fine. This is an incredibly consistent way to play Flop Flood across a variety of matchups, including Anarch. This is much, much, much better into the likes of Seb and Lou than Flood PD is. Now, Flood PD is faster, and so sometimes you just win. That deck just wins sometimes, so it goes. But in the case of Flood the Ocean, you have game into everybody, and that is a very, very powerful thing to have. Nightmare Archive, in particular, is an absolute backbreaker in any deck with Onto and Let Them Dream. And it's even worse here, because every single outcome is wildly lopsided in your favor, especially when this thing is put in the remote. By that, I mean, there is nowhere on the board, or in the deck, or in the hand, or whatever, where a Nightmare is not useful. If it's an R&D, that's a crappy access that they now have to deal with that they weren't planned for. If it's in the hand, ambush. But you saw a sweep coming, guess what? Get nightmared. If it's in archives, y'all already know. If it's in a remote, ooh. Oh, that's nasty. Because an idle remote in a flood deck just gets you fast advance. So, yeah, special mention to Nightmare. Absolutely phenomenal. Really big fan of it. Really love the way it's utilized here. Cat in the write-up, and by the way, I'm going to be linking all of these into the description. Cat calls out the 1x ScapeNet as mean-spirited. And see, the difference between she and I is that she is merciful, and I am not. I love trashing Twinning. I love trashing DreamNet. I love the whole world and everyone in it, but I will kill your build-around card with a smile on my face and a song in my heart. I think this is hysterically funny. And I will hang on to this until the slightest provocation. Just like, I think this will hurt the most. Yeah, just really pin down the exact moment where the runner's heart gonna break in half. ScapeNet is that card. ScapeNet is just gnarly. It's mean. If for whatever reason you foresaw like a bunch of Shaper or whatever, which, I mean, it still kicks out a Simul chip. That's not nothing. But yeah, I mean, you could switch it out for something else. She makes some pretty good, like, alterations you can make there, but I just, if you're going to include a tech card, include one that's this gross. Harmonics absolutely pull their weight in a deck where ETR basically doesn't matter. Every time I res bloop, I can feel the runner's cortisol levels rising. Whether I play this in person and they just go, or you play it on JNet and there's just a moment of no action when there really shouldn't be, it's so damn funny. And it's not like they don't know it's coming. As soon as they see another harmonic, they have to assume you're on bloop, right? But where you put it, it matters immensely. Having it on centrals is huge. Cat's write-up goes into more detail as to how to play this well and why all the different slots are what they are. There are other decks in this that I'm going to talk about, like things I've tried and things I've changed. The more I've played Flood the Ocean, the more I think she just kind of nailed it. I have no notes. I can't improve on this. I think it's great. If she ended up changing something with it, I'm sure she'd have a good reason, but like, I just think this deck is absolute gasoline. Fantastic stuff. Jinteki, I want to talk about Sanjay's Hugo Cabaret for a second. I warned you about Unleash, bro. I told you, dog. I knew this was going to happen in some kind of way. And sure enough, crushed New Jersey districts. Everything about this list is straight gas. The agenda suite is tight and very, very effective. 6 of these things give you a tag, which you use to do Unleash things. 2 of them give you free ice, which is what Unleash does. And then 1 is longevity serum. There's no losers here. There's 3 bites in it. We love that. Unleashing for the biggest and best ice in the game that you can Tatu into position before it happens. Legit, never advance game plans with Seamless and Lacosta and everything. This is the works. It does everything. I love it. 3 Microweb reads bananas. When I first read that, I immediately, like, my eyes were, that can't be right. And I wanted to cut at least 1 on sight, just on principle, because I'm not a huge Microweb fan. But the more I played, the more I saw the vision. It turns out, Microweb's pretty sick when it costs nothing. And firing Microweb stuff with Microweb is so funny. You can do so much dumb stuff by just Microwebbing out. It combos beautifully. If there's a single piece of ice I want to add to this, I think it might actually be Evic, of all things. Sometimes a big-ass barrier just helps, and you really don't want Botu here. Botu would be a mistake, I think. Tossing your cards out is not ideal. If you're gonna toss something, you want it to be, for Anoetic, for a good reason, and in this particular case, you're getting such big ice so easily that Botu doesn't really contribute as much as maybe you would hope. As people adapt to playing against non-egg Jinteki again, I suspect this is going to need a little bit more defense. I don't know if that's going to look like subbing out some of the purple ice for Managarm and then putting some other nasty ice in its place, or more Anoetics, or what have you. But right now, this gets it done in style, and it just steals games in ways only Jinteki can. Like, they'll make 1 mistake, and they'll pay for it for the entire rest of the game, and then lose on top of that. And I don't just mean running into a bite, but I do also mean running into a bite. That is a classic. That is what we are about. I've been trying to find a way to stuff Public Trail into this, but honestly, it probably doesn't need it. I don't think distributed tracing helps. I think PT is 1 less influence and a really solid tool in general. The amount of punishment you get off a single tag in this is immense, and you're very good at getting that tag. I would like to have even more than that. In practice, though, like, the deck functions pre-unleash. It just pops off once you start unleashing. Also, very solid game into Seb as a result, which we like immensely. So I may eventually work out a way to stuff Public Trail into this. I had a version that was worse than this before I saw Sanjay's that did, and this makes me want it again, but then I remember that version was worse than Sanjay's. That's going to be a thing we get back to. You'll see. But for now, NBN, and before I hit the right arrow button on my keyboard, I just want to apologize for what I'm about to do. NBN, this is from Friday, Urethra. Like, I didn't name it. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. The deck is too sick to ignore. Also, shoutouts to Supernus and Vilgems by association here. Again, everything's called out in the write-ups, but I just, oh my god. Knock knock, it's NBN Prison, with Hughes assets, with tags, tag assets. Open your wallet, stop having it be closed. Cohort might be the best NBN card to ever cost 2 influence. NBN Prison is so good. As we saw, Epiphany can make a faction that otherwise feels kind of hobbled at the moment just soar. And yeah, Epiphany Prison, it works, still. You'll note, there's not exactly 1 VP card in this list, and it's Magistrate Revantale, because every agenda should be Bologna, and NBN's current faction identity is Findom. That's what they're about. I've wondered for a bit, it's like, what is this really for? No, the answer is you just drag them into the dirt and they never escape. It's Headlock, but in reverse. I do think that this list, or one like it, could probably play hype machines with little to no issue. And I do fully intend to explore that concept because I do think it's interesting. As well as maybe slotting some paywalls for my own satisfaction because I love paywall. But in practice, like, this is so much better than doing a similar type of thing in GameNet. And the reason why is that Epiphany ID is just so much better, and you get to play stuff like Stoke that GameNet can't do. GameNet is slow. GameNet's not as good as getting this kind of stuff done, which is where paywall definitely would live. Hype Machine could really go either way, though. So that is, like, the one area where I really kind of want to feel it out a bit. But, like, this is NBN Prison. You know what this is about. It might have won a little tournament called Worlds at one point. And, yeah, it's still great, as it turns out. That one little tool that it got just makes it even meaner, which I very much enjoy. Moving on. Weyland. Okay, so this list is mine, but not really. This is Vicky Ricardo. I stand on the shoulders of a lot of giants here. I would cite Alpi, Arjorb, Ebental by extension because they were credited with Arjorb's list to some extent, and 34 Witches. All folks that have amazing bad pubs Vickies of very funny names as well. This one is mine. This list is barely different from those. All 4 of these are fairly close. I think Jorb's was the most different out of everybody, mainly because it had bite in it, which, I mean, but, like, come on. This is a mashup with a name somebody else should have thought of before me, and a couple of changes for my personal preferences that I have found really make this thing sing. Big Deal's Vicky was already decent. Reanimation Protocol and Event Horizon just push it way harder, and they let you play 3-2-2 agendas. This is, and I do not mean this in any kind of exaggeration, it's not hyperbole, I genuinely believe this is the best way to actually chain Red Cap. There's a lot of ways to sort of generate and utilize Bad Pub in Weyland now. This is my favorite, and it's not particularly close. I think it's very, very strong. You are a lot less likely to win via measure than you may think, but you cannot cut them. You have to have them, because if you don't have them, you lack the ability to punish runners who are skating by on Bad Pub alone. When you give runners, especially folks like Ari or Baz or what have you, the ability to just cheat, and they're not spending real money to do it, you need to be able to say, okay, but if you do that, I'm going to kill you. And that is what Measured Response does. Measured punishes overextension. Measured punishes, oh, they went a little too fast, they ran you when you were like a little bit flooded or whatever, they pushed past 4, now they explode. You have to have that dual threat. Mandatory. And in that way, it's kind of like a fast advance modernism type of thing, that way, where you're constantly threatening the kill, but it's not what you're aiming to do. I would think twice before cutting the one of Toxin, personally. This is one that I feel pretty strongly about. This is very much a vice pick. Even if you just pull a Sentry, if you skip the Maskarovka entirely, right, you don't tutor it at all, you either refuse, or you fail to find, or whatever, you now have exactly what you need, be that Biowak or Event Horizon, and a solid reanimation protocol target in place to immediately be used in the form of the Toxin itself. I don't think I would ever pay to res Toxin, but I will absolutely do it for a free and a bad pub. 100%. Very good code gate. Would happily play it for 0 instead of 8, and that's what that does. Being able to go get, especially Event Horizon on demand, is really, really strong here. And having Toxin early is a really good way to ensure that you get off to a good start with Ice when that could otherwise not be the case. I know it's just a one of, but I feel pretty strong about keeping it. Speaking of, do not cut the pivot. This might be one of the most important cards in the deck that isn't just like the actual win condition. Don't do it. You need it. This thing sits in your hand for a while, yeah, but it closes out games that you otherwise have no business winning in several different ways. This can go get you a kill tool. It can go get you the winning agenda. It can go get you literally like pretty much anything you actually need, because this deck is about operations and agendas, right? And so go get the thing. What is the thing? What you need it to be. I had a play earlier today where I closed a game out from barely anything by just like, hey, I'm going to pivot to find a red cap, install it with the pivot, and then slash and burn it to score out. And we're just going to be done. We're done. We're through. All right. It's really good. It's very good. The card does everything that you need. Like, the more, just read pivot and then read it again and then use it to close games out all the time. And if they trash it, cool, they spent 3 to do that. Myoshu is legit. I love Myoshu, but not here. Every scoring pattern leaves very little wiggle room. It's a fast advanced deck. That tends to be a problem. It's big deal. You definitely can't do anything after that. And you don't want to build a remote ever. There's no scenario in which you have enough ice nor the means to build a scoring remote. I'm sorry. This is a Nebula-esque build 2 very large towers of ice and then just slap out agendas with no remote. Alt title instead of Vicky Ricardo, by the way. I was going to go with Rasputin, but specifically the Bass Flow 4.0 mix, and you should look that... Base Flow, excuse me, I can't read. You should look that up if you haven't. You'll understand. It involves reanimation. Anyway, let's do runner stuff, yeah? Anarch, so this is Warlock's Reg Hoshiko. Hoshiko. I regret to inform you that I have taken an entire bottle of Essa pills, and I now have a Pavlovian response to taking core damage. Look at the 3 ofs in this deck. This is immaculate deck building. You'll love to see it. Whenever I see this many 3 ofs, what that tells me is I know what my deck is about and it needs to do this thing reliably, and then it does do that thing reliably because you have those cards. It's great. This is the best reg rig in the game, full stop. 100%. Sorry, Vic. Like, this is the best one. It breaks everything but the biggest sentries for pocket change, and it has none of the struggles of other Anarch lists. This Breaker Suite combined with Tungsten Tailor is so ridiculously efficient that I don't want to run another reg list ever. Like, ever. This is so much better than other comparable stuff. I even prefer this over Reg Lu personally. If you look at Maker's Eye, and you look at the stuff post-cut, specifically results, you'll see that Lu is, at time of me recording this, the most winningest runner, right? But I think if people play this more kind of Reg Essa and everything, this could very well win, because at no point have I ever felt out of a server. I just look at it and go, yeah, I can afford that. Because you are comically rich. Like, ridiculously, reliably, generationally wealthy. You just fucking hit them. You pinhole their upgrades, you do whatever you want when you want, you can afford it. As soon as you have your stuff installed on your board, what are they gonna do? Stop you? You're just gonna come back. Assume you're never gonna see your second copy of a breaker on any given price and take the damn program. There are cases where you don't do that. Say you have another one in hand or what have you, or you just think that in that matchup you don't need to break, who knows, like a code gate or something. But in practice, I have found that the only games in which I ever struggle are the ones where I pass on a free breaker and then I regret it immensely. I don't always regret it, but I have regretted it. And it's one of the only times this deck has ever felt bad. And it's entirely solvable by just taking the damn breaker. My only addition to this in my personal list is that I added a finality, because sometimes you just want to land a kill shot, and if it dies to price, it dies. The deck functions perfectly as is. Finality is just a little extra sauce on top. I like it. I think finality is strong, especially in HB matchups where you just need to dig with some amount of speed. But there's no guarantee you're going to see it. There's no guarantee you're going to play it. I just like to have the option, and frankly, a source of one more core is not the worst. One time I played this against Earth Station, and I had to replay Ghost Tongues to get enough core to get a leg over Big Pharaohs. I had a hand size of 1, and I think I saw God. Alright, Criminal, so we're talking about Sanjay again. This time it's Revival Jam. Now, as a quick aside, I played Baz at Districts, and I think that Baz is really well positioned to show up and do cool Crim things right now. This is also my favorite Shaper list. I considered throwing my Baz list on the pile, but not only did Sanjay play Baz and Jinteki, and I cowered it out of Jinteki, which is shameful for me. At his districts, he actually won his. I came in 5th, he came in 1st. I kneel. I concede. He's better at this than me. These are things Baz likes to do, alright? Just cheat like mad to get into servers, draw the cards to fuel the cheating, and threaten archives so that they have to install and res even more ice over there. This does all of those expertly. One super sick thing about Baz is that, teched appropriately, he actually has game into tall and wide. You just need to lean into different parts of your kit, i.e. Physarum versus tall, Cup versus wide. Both of these cards have game into those other things, but like, hey, I'm going to prioritize recurring Physarums to go through a tall server twice, as opposed to, hey, I'm going to go cup an asset and then blast your hand because you're not ready, you know? That's the sort of thing that's really good against, like, Flood PD, for example. Yeah, so about this card. Sell out! It's been an all-star. Underdome not so much, actually. I think I had Underdome pretty much right on the money, but unfortunately they feel like a package deal at the moment, so if you're going to play Sellout, which I do think you should do, you might just have to play Underdome. A smart corp will let you in for singles rather than give you the draw in the early game, and not having Sellout or Window in hand makes getting one Underdome proc feel really bad surprisingly often. I play them anyway. I think it's worth the sacrifice. I ran 2 and 2. Sanjay runs 2 and 3. one of the neat things about this list in particular is that I actually do think there are a lot of really neat tweaks you can make. Feel free to mess with that a little bit, but I understand why he made the choice he made, and I don't disagree with it. I'm not huge on Underdome, but it is so good when you sell it, and it is so effective whenever you play the stuff that Baz is already good at, that, like, you kind of have to at least run some. And some of it's also just a mental thing. It's not that the value of Underdome is, like, awful. It's just that the draw window is lousy, and the Corp has enough control over whether or not you get it that it bothers me a little bit. But, like, the card's not terrible. Sellout is the real standout. I was absolutely wrong about that card. I've been playing variations on this with a bunch of swaps, right? I put transfers in it because rank transfer makes me giddy. I've gone up to 3 simul by making cuts elsewhere. I've run open markets instead of other things to kind of help smooth stuff out a bit and create more sellout targets, etc., etc. But I highly, 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 highly recommend you play this list as is at least a few times before getting too buck wild. You want to internalize the Baz lines. You want to understand where you're coming from on this. It is deceptively tricky. It's not just a shapery list. There's more going on here. And if you don't play a deck that someone else designed and succeeded with as is to understand where that's coming from, weird meta call stuff notwithstanding, as I'm wont to do, you're not going to fully understand how and where to make changes. So play this as is several times before you mess with it. My variations and all, I'm not going to publish mine because I don't think they're solid. They're just things that I'm trying. I think Sanjay nailed it. I think this list is phenomenal. I think Baz has a lot of game into the field right now, and I think if you make tweaks, it's going to be more to, like, kind of handle a perceived rough matchup or a thing you expect to run into often than anything about the list itself being weaker. I love this list. I think it's great. 3x maintenance access is amazing, and his note about the Corp having to hold HQ payoffs in their hand had me laughing to the point where I couldn't breathe for the better part of a minute. Anyway, moving on. Okay, no, I do actually have a shaper list. It's Zomsrath's. Makes this op sea green. Boy, I'm already running out of gas on this one. It's a mag list. So, can I take a second for a mea culpa? Do you mind? Can I indulge for a moment? I wildly overestimated deep dive into a field full of fake agendas and Lux lines. My bad, y'all. Yeah, I do think that Shaper should still play Deep Dive. I do think it's one of the best closers in the game of Netrunner. But, wow, between those and, like, the handful of decks that are still running, that are actually running Flagship, and, like, everything else that's going on, Daily Cast is definitely the best runner card that we got in the set. Deep Dive is up there, but it's not oppressive, like I was initially thinking. My sort of unoptimized early corps were not holding up. And this is proof, right? Because this is like disposables, mag, juiced, with a little bit deep dive, just to close it out. You could just play Ari and never respect the face check, but I prefer my shapers a little more normal. This is the sort of shaper list that I really like. I'm going to get into that later. And I know that folks like White Blade were really pushing, like, hey, I think Ari is cracked. And I actually entirely agree. I think Ari might be the most powerful shaper going at the moment. I think the Ari ability is just bananas. And then you look at this and it's like, well, okay, hold on, wait, right? And I see you questioning the 4 blue imp spend. I see you staring at the hardware section of this list. And I'm here to tell you that the current world champ is right. And Alarm Clock's really good. You should probably try it. Automatic knick-knack runs and closing the game on a double dive without Pichichow are GEWD good. This is extremely solid. I love Alarm Clock. I always struggle to, like, figure out where to put it, where to play it, right? This is the good stuff. This is exactly what they should be doing. Applying HQ pressure with Shaper as reliably as Alarm Clock allows is so good. If you're set up and moneyed up already, an Alarm Clock run on a non-deep dive turn could very easily consist of run, knick-knack, do any mid-run effects, skip the ice, hit the hand, move on with your life, and then still potentially get a mag install, depending on your draws and what have you. It is brutally efficient, and that's without any of the cool tricks. That's without using it to dive. Alarm Clock rules. Yeah, you should probably try this. Prop only is the kind of risk-taking we love to see in a faction that's normally allergic to gambling. Plus, you have Palangi if you run into BTL. It's fine. You're fine. Like, people are like, oh my god, how are you going to get over Big Pharaohs? The answer is you just cheat. Like, what, what do you mean? You paint it with Palangi, and you shoot it with a revolver, or you dance past it with Euler, and you leave. Like, there's absolutely answers here. You just play those instead. Speaking of fine, I haven't changed my mind on Rewrite Share. I actually don't love that card. But this deck cares enough about its sequencing that spending slots on Class Act with extra steps is totally fine. If you get it late and it doesn't show up, you just don't play it. So it's not really a problem. And then finally, beyond that, this is a pretty familiar toolboxy disposable mag. We have this in our meta. We very much enjoy this kind of thing. This is the exact kind of shaper I loved in Elevation. I am glad to see it do well here. As I understand it, Zomdraft knocked down districts with it, and I see why. Yeah, if you have the game sense to pilot this kind of thing effectively and not waste your gas on runs that don't matter, you're going to be making runs more efficiently than just about anybody else. You're going to lock the remote. You're going to apply a lot of pressure, and you're going to win games. You're going to win games in Netrunner. That's what this is all about. Control, 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 remote, 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 hit them with a deep dive, shake their hand. And that's how that goes. Cool. Please make more cool decks so I can talk about them. Thanks. So I will do the districts recap soonish. It's going to take longer than this did. I know I promised this next week, but the thing is, when you're talking about cool things that other people have made, it's a lot easier to put this stuff together and just say, hey, look at all these smart and cool and awesome people in the Netrunner community. Don't they make good decks? Yes, they do. Yes, they do.